I think that we have, the work that we have to do in keeping with after the awareness is holding people accountable, not just batterers and not just community and elected officials. As we all know, we have a situation going on right here in the city of New York. But we have to be more vocal, and the Brides March is the way in which I'm right now working on this issue. We had a tragedy, for those of you that don't know, in the in the Washington Heights community in September 26, 1999, and as a result of that, today, every September 26 since 2001, we have been marching, like Rita said, from Washington Heights to the Bronx, to Harlem, and ending in East Harlem. And that's something that I want to talk about later on a little more, that we want to expand. We need to expand. The reaction, the response that we have been seeing as a result of this march have been incredible. The hotlines throughout this city, throughout the state, throughout the country go up when days and weeks after the march. And that's, for some, someone told me, oh, well, that's terrible. I said, no, it isn't. That's a great thing. It's a great thing. A person that was asking me did not understand the work that we do. That's a great thing. And the other part to this movement is that we want to get young people and men involved.
Grace, you've worked really hard to get men involved, and I was surprised about how many men were involved, particularly young men were involved in your march. And it is very much a community organization. So why don't you talk about being right there in the community and community organizing, and how do you get those guys out there?
Well, I first would like to tell you a little story. And it has.
Speak up for the microphone.
I'd like to tell you a little story when, a number of years ago, when I began to provide direct services, I was putting together, I understood back in the early 80s that if I wanted to create successful programs, I needed to involve those who were going to be benefiting from those programs. So I can't count right now how many programs I've created, but well over a dozen programs and maybe close to 20 programs. Specifically for battered women and children of battered women. And so early on, I wanted to create a one of the programs, the many that I did. So I brought together a number of women, and we began talking about the issue and began talking about what to do to end domestic violence and how to do that. And at the end of that long day, all I kept hearing was, well, if I'm going to go to counseling, if you're going to create a program that's going to provide counseling, where's he going to go? If you're going to create a program, a support group, and we would talk about what that would look like, well, what support group is there going to be for him? So these women, they just kept, and I kept bringing it back to, well, okay, but how do you want it for yourself? How do you want this to look? And every single time it went back to, well, how is it going to look for him? What program, what service is there going to be for him? And what I early on understood, when no one was talking about, and people here will agree with me, no one was talking about working with men, either providing the service or working with them to on the issue. I understood early on from these conversations with the women that if we truly wanted to end violence against women, we had to do two things, and that was to provide services to men and to get men involved. In the march, we asked for men to dress in black. And it is because black represents mourning. And who are the ones that are creating these horrendous crimes? Men. So when I talk to a man and I tell him, please come dressed in black, because I want you to represent mourning. I want you to mourn the death of this woman. Okay? The murder of this woman that was perpetrated by your compadre, another man, okay? And they start to look at that like, this is reflecting upon me. And you are part of this society, and you want to not, enter into a room, and because you're a man, this is how you're being looked at,